In this video, more information about heat transfer. First of all, as you can see in this picture, heat energy always flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. There are three ways of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. With conduction, there you need particles. You can have conduction within a solid, a liquid, but also a gas. When we look at the process of conduction, we talk about materials which are good conductors and materials which are insulators. With convection, you also need particles, but in this case, you need particles which are able to move or flow. So that can only be a liquid or a gas. And then with radiation, no particles are needed. So for instance, the sun is able to radiate its heat energy to the earth without any particles present in between. Now it's time to show you a demonstration of conduction. Here I have a metal plate in the shape of a cross. Because there are three little holes at the ends, I can put in a match like this. So now I use a retort stand to make sure that everything stays put. What happens when I put a flame underneath this metal piece? Well, the heat of the flame will be absorbed by the metal piece, but primarily in the middle. And then it takes some time for the metal piece to conduct the heat energy to the ends. Let's see how long it takes to ignite the matches. So did you see that it took some time for the matches to be set to fire? It's because the heat energy needed to be transferred through the solid, through the metal first. The mechanism of heat transfer, which is used here, is called conduction. The definition of conduction is the flow of internal energy from a region of higher temperature to one of a lower temperature by the interaction between particles. So one particle is passing on the heat energy to another particle. Now I'm going to demonstrate convection. Another mechanism of heat transfer is convection. And I'm going to show you this phenomenon with help of this tube, which is filled up with water. Also, I'm going to add some color so that you can see the effects. And because this is a solid coloring powder, I can make sure that it will fall into one end of the tube only. What will happen when I heat up this end of the tube? Let's have a look. What you can see now is that the color, that the water is here is flowing towards the hot area, and then it flows up. This is pretty cool, isn't it? What we just saw was that the heat of the flame heated up the water in the tube at this end. And because the water was heated up here, what water does is when it heats up, it expands a little bit. Because of that, it is a little bit lighter than the other water. So it wants to move upwards. And because the water, which is heated up here, moves upwards, colder water from this end is pulled towards this point. And in that way, you get a circulation. And this circulation is what we call convection. And you can have convection whenever you are dealing with a liquid or a gas. The definition of convection is the flow of internal energy from a region of higher temperature to one of lower temperature by the movement of particles in a fluid or gas. And now I'm going to demonstrate radiation. A third mechanism of heat transfer is radiation. And now I'm going to show you the effect of heat transfer by radiation on a black tube, a white tube, and a shiny tube. But first, I'm going to fill up these tubes with water. And now the experiment can start. For 10 minutes, I will put these light bulbs on, and they will also give out heat energy. And the heat energy is absorbed by these tubes. Let's see what the effect will be. After some time, you see that the black tube reached a temperature of 43 degrees Celsius. The white tube reached a temperature of 34 degrees Celsius. And the shiny tube reached a temperature of only 30 degrees Celsius. What we saw here is that because of the heat energy transferred from the lamp to the different tubes with the mechanism of radiation, you see that the different tubes absorbed the energy. In comparison to the black tube, the white tube doesn't absorb the radiant energy that well. The object who is able to reflect heat energy or radiant energy in the best way is an object with a shiny surface. So, a shiny surface reflects radiant energy. A black surface absorbs radiant energy very well. The definition of radiation is the flow of energy from a region of higher temperature to one of a lower temperature in the form of electromagnetic waves. On this slide, we see two pictures which are taken by a special camera called an infrared camera. Infrared is another word for heat energy transferred by radiation. So, now you know that whenever there is heat transfer, it will always happen via one of these three mechanisms of heat transfer: conduction, convection, or radiation. That's all for now. Bye.